Last week, I stumbled upon this bizarre clip. A Baba got ambushed by a bunch of other Babas.
लाखों संतों ने अपना बलिदान दिया।
आटी ढाबा दे, आटी ढाबा को कर देंगे।
पुलिस को कॉल कर रहा हूँ।
आप वहाँ बैठिए। आप वहाँ
पुलिस को कॉल कर रहा हूँ। यहाँ पे ना, और ये मुझे बाहर नहीं जाने दे रहे हैं।
वो करोगे?
ठीक है?
गेट बंद नहीं है, गेट
ये स्टूडियो के अंदर बंद कर दिया, गेट खुलवाइए।
क्या बना रखे हो ना?
It happened on a news channel called News Nation. You'd think all these self-proclaimed men of wisdom would be sitting together and discussing life, philosophy, and the mysteries of the universe. Nope. There was a lot of gali galoch, loud screaming, and acrimony.
हम संतों को बदनाम कर रहा है, लोग बाबा बना रहे हैं, इसको बाबा है, इसको जो है मेंटल हॉस्पिटल जाना चाहिए।
The Baba they are going after is called IIT Baba, and he seemed to be the only cool character in this whole drama, to be honest. Now, normally I wouldn't care about spiritual beef. Get it? Spiritual but beef? Okay, sorry, bad joke. Never mind. But when I saw this, I had a thought. This fight isn't just about religion and proving who is the better person, is it? It is not to represent some religion in some form. It is a fight about market share and power, which led me down a very bizarre path. I had so many questions in my head. Why are these Babas going after this IIT Baba? What threat does he pose to them? And eventually it reached a point where I asked the most important meta question. Why does India have so many Babas in the first place? Because let's be honest, India isn't just a country of Babas at this point of time. It is an entire cinematic universe of Babas. It is a whole Baba-verse. You have bearded ones, bald ones, corporate ones, controversy-loving ones that ride bikes, ones that are 10 years old, ones that do yoga, ones that create political movements. And yes, there are even ones that run international FMCG companies.
ऐसे हो नीचे देखो ऐसे।
So yeah, we have many godmen around us, but how did we get here? What makes the Babas so attractive to the Indian audience? Or maybe the better question to ask is, why do these Babas even exist? After going through a bunch of these, watching some of their pravachans and reading about their life, one thing became clear. Every Baba has a motivation. They all have a format as well. And once I figured out their motivations and format, I could tell why a flock of people flock to them. So in this video, I am going to do just that. I am going to try and categorize our Babas so that this Babaverse makes a little more sense to someone who doesn't really indulge in all of this. You might know one or two of these Babas, but when you look at it in its entirety, yeah, it paints a picture. Before we start, a disclaimer. If you are expecting me to fact check these Babas or critique the Hindu religion, yeah, that's not happening. Just not happening. I'm not here to tell you what to believe in or who to follow or what to do essentially. You do you. You take a call on that. I'm here to just give you my long analytical hot take on why these godmen exist or why I think they exist. What their motivations are, what are the formats and what are the business models that they operate in, and what it says about our Indian society in general. Alright, so I'm telling you this right now. If you are a fan of any of these Babas that are on the thumbnail, and if you have been clickbaited and you have clicked on this, but you get easily offended and can't handle sociological commentary and criticism of your favorite Babas, then this video is not for you. I'm warning you. If you are going to watch this and then get offended, then it's a you problem. It's a you problem, not a me problem. Okay guys, I just had to give that disclaimer because every damn time that I make a video on any of these Babas, their fans kind of flock to my channel and curse me like crazy in the comments, and it kind of traumatizes me a little bit, so it's not very nice. And in this video, I'm going to take a dump on, let's see, how many are there now? 12 of them. 12. That's why the disclaimer. So brace yourself because this is going to be a long one. This is a video about godmen who pretend to play the spiritual game but are actually creating a vote bank. This is a video about babas who exploit spirituality to make a shit ton of money. This is a video about babas who worship the real day modern god, the YouTube algorithm. This is a deep dive video about India's Babaverse. On that, I have a bunch of thoughts. India has a long history of spiritual teachers, mystics and ascetics. Some are genuine seekers of truth, practice the Vedanta, yoga and self-realization. But in modern India, the term Godman or Baba doesn't actually mean a spiritual guru anymore. It refers to a whole breed of self-proclaimed saints, some who preach peace, some who preach hate, and some who are just running a multi-crore business empire in the name of spirituality. To understand the Babaverse, we need to start with the most basic version of godmen. Like these people.
इसको ट्रीटमेंट का जरूरत है
Look at this clip again. The saffron-clad people who are screaming and giving galis are the ones I'm talking about. Simply put, these are people who act like the gatekeepers of the Babaverse. The word Pakhandi means hypocritical, sanctimonious and pretentious. These are godmen who wear the mask of spirituality but have no real depth. These are the fundamentalist godmen. The ones who act like self-proclaimed guardians of the faith that other people follow. They don't exist to help people find enlightenment or make them reach some peaceful place in life. They exist to control religious narratives, demand blind faith, and crush dissent. They don't want their followers to think, they want their followers to obey and to worship them. Their biggest fear is people thinking for themselves. Their favorite strategy is screaming, "Arey dharam khatre mein hai," whenever someone asks a question about the religion or poses a challenge to their faith. Their superpower is fear-mongering, gaslighting and whatever this is.
सनातन धर्म का बेड़ा गर्क कर रहा है
Yeah, that doesn't sound very spiritual when you are giving galis to a dude who is just sitting there, right? You see, these people know that faith is a powerful thing. They also know that if you control faith, then you control people. You essentially hijack their brains. Their core strategy is simple. They create an illusion of authority by quoting religious texts out of context and adding their own spicy little interpretations. They build an entire world in the minds of their followers. It is an illusion, and these babas set the rules of how this world works. Then they convince followers that living in this world actually means that you cannot question it, and questioning equals disrespect. And then they aggressively attack anyone who doesn't believe in the same version of this elusive world. And that is the whole reason why I gave the disclaimer in the first place. You remember? That one? Yeah. And eventually their followers become more and more dedicated towards protecting this illusion because it gives their life meaning and they exist in that universe and it gives them purpose. This, my viewers, in brief, is the Babaverse starter pack. If you had to become a Baba, just use these rules and you will become a Baba. The ones that you see in this ambush clip are minor Babas who are trying to get a market share. But they haven't really succeeded yet. I mean, they might have followers, but not that big of a following. Some Babas though have gone beyond just appearing on random TV channels and actually becoming prominent figures in this Babaverse. Like this guy, Dhirendra Shastri, aka Bageshwar Dham Sarkar. He's one of the fastest growing Babas in India today and he has some radical views.
कोई आपको लगता है पार्टी या नेता जो सनातन के खिलाफ जा रहा है आपकी नजर में?
कह नहीं सकते, जा तो बहुत में।
कह देंगे कल ही बोरिया बिस्तर बंद जाएगा। तो अभी मौका है, समय आएगा अपना भी।
आप जब कह रहे समय आएगा तो ऐसा लग रहा है आपके पास
सनातनी हिंदू जब इकट्ठे हो जाएंगे वो खुद बोलेंगे, वो जवाब देंगे। इस भारत में रहना होगा तो सीताराम कहना होगा।
ये
Dhirendra is a 29-year-old from Chhatarpur district in Madhya Pradesh. He spent his childhood narrating Ramcharitramanas, Satyanarayan Kathas and asking for donations. He is currently the Pithadhishwar or the chief of Bageshwar Dham temple. That's a temple dedicated to Hanuman. Shastri holds regular darbars every week where he gives pravachans, conducts exorcisms and performs miracles. Dhirendra Shastri is special though. He has moved beyond the starter pack Baba version and adopted two extra elements. One, he doesn't just preach religion, he actively pushes the idea of Hindu Rashtra. He's openly political, often praising BJP leaders and attacking opposition parties. Two, he understands how to use social media algorithms to his advantage. His speeches are cut into clickbait reels, viral moments, and WhatsApp forwards, of course. In fact, he has actually worked really hard to attract the attention of Shri Sir Adarniya Supreme Leader Narendra Ji Modi Ji, the first of his name. And finally, his hard work has bore fruit, and it happened very recently. Modi Ji visited the Bageshwar Dham and praised Shastri. He called Shastri his younger brother. Clearly, this 29-year-old Baba is on the rise and he has the blessing of our supreme leader right now. If you peel back all the layers and look at the Bageshwar Dham closely, it's less like a temple at this point of time and more like a media production house. But Shastri is tame compared to the next fellow that I want you to see. This is Yati Narsinghanand. Just taking his name makes me feel all like, inside. So, while Dhirendra Shastri talks a lot about Hindu Rashtra, Narsinghanand likes to incite people to take up arms and get it done. He is quite militant about it as well.
उधर एक एक मुसलमान ने कसम खाई कि जिस दिन इस देश का निजाम हमारे हाथ में होगा, हम इस मंदिर को तोड़ेंगे और दोबारा से मस्जिद बनाएंगे। हाँ डबल केवल 2029 में भारत का प्रधानमंत्री मुसलमान होगा। 40% हिंदुओं का कत्ल होगा। 10% हिंदू अपनी बहन बेटी मुसलमानों को देकर या तो रिफ्यूजी कैंपों में रहेंगे या विदेशों में रहेंगे। ये हिंदू का भविष्य है और अगर इस भविष्य को बदलना चाहते हो तो मर्द बनो, मर्द बनो, मर्द बनो। और मर्द कौन होता है? जिसके हाथ में हथियार होता है वो मर्द होता है।
Yati Narsinghanand Saraswati is a 58-year-old head of the powerful Dasna Devi temple in Uttar Pradesh. He shot to prominence in 2022 when he spoke at an event in Haridwar called the Dharam Sansad. He and a bunch of other godmen openly called for their followers to pick up arms and unleash violence against Muslims.
तलवार से नहीं मरने वाले हैं वो, आपको टेक्निक में उनसे बहुत आगे जाना होगा। वो बहुत अच्छे हथियार लिए हुए बैठे हैं। हथियार उठाए बिना धरती की कोई कौम ना तो बच सकती है और ना ही कभी बचेगी।
Yati often spreads conspiracy theories about Hindus being wiped out and Muslims are coming for the Hindus और उनकी population बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ रही है. The usual stuff. And his speeches are not spiritual. They are political war cries and dog whistles. Despite multiple hate speech cases, he kind of continues unchecked. Because in today's India, you can be a religious preacher spreading hate and get away with it. But if you're a comedian who cracks jokes, no. FIR, Shastri hasn't gone into proper insightful hate speech territory yet, but Yati Narsinghanand has. They preach the same ideas, but Yati likes to mobilize and make things happen. And unlike Shastri or Narsinghanand who are out there in public, there is this one godman who operates in the shadows. And this is a big one. And honestly, I was wondering if I should put him in this video and should call him a Baba. But here I am. I'm gonna do it. Let me tell you about Swami Avimukteshwaranand, the Shankaracharya of Jyoti Math.
चारों शंकराचार्य वहां पर नहीं जा रहे हैं। कारण क्या है, क्यों नहीं जा रहे हैं? किसी राग द्वेष के कारण नहीं, बल्कि शंकराचार्यों का ये दायित्व है कि वो शास्त्र विधि का पालन करें और करवाएं। अब वहां पर शास्त्र विधि की उपेक्षा हो रही है। सबसे पहली उपेक्षा क्या है कि मंदिर अभी पूरा बना नहीं और प्रतिष्ठा की जा रही है। कोई ऐसी परिस्थिति नहीं है कि अपने को अचानक कर देना पड़े।
You must have heard of him when the Ram temple consecration was happening. He was invited, but he turned it down, saying that the ceremony is not happening according to Hindu traditions and is not up to code. That caused a lot of ruckus, honestly, before the elections, because Modi ji was expecting that the Ram temple thing will just go smoothly and everybody will praise him. And then comes along Shankaracharya and he's like,
No, this is wrong. You're not doing it correctly. Because I decide what is to be done correctly when it comes to temple inaugurations.
You know why he said that? Because he is the one who actually decides the code and sets the rules. Or at least he proclaims that he is, and other people believe that he does. You see, Shankaracharya is a title that is used by the heads of 4 monasteries or mutts that were established by Adi Shankar according to the Advait Vedanta tradition. The Shankaracharyas are supposed to be realized men who understand the Vedantas and can be consulted by those who have queries about Hindu traditions and practices. They're supposed to be the top tier keepers of traditions in the Hindu religion. So, as a result, a lot of Hindus consider these 4 Shankaracharyas to be the be-all and end-all of Hindu religion. And Avimukteshwaranand takes his role very seriously. And since he operates on a meta level, he has been demanding constitutional reforms to ensure dharmic education and how it should be a fundamental right for children to take this dharmic education. Shankaracharya in this Babaverse plays a very different role. He is more like a ideological architect. He wants Hindutva in education. He argues that Hindu scripture should be the foundation of India's academic system. He wants constitutional changes, and he believes that India's legal system should also follow Hindu laws and traditions. And worst of all, he legitimizes caste. Unlike some godmen who try to modernize Hinduism and try to move away from caste and, form this whole umbrella system of Hinduism, the Shankaracharya tries to reinforce the old system. So there was this strange incident in 2024 December where Baba Bageshwar Dham had a run-in with the Shankaracharya. Dhirendra Shastri took out a Padyatra for Hindu unity, which is bringing all castes together under a larger Hindu umbrella. But Shankaracharya Adhimukteshwaranand had a problem with that. He said, and I quote, "Caste is the identity of Hindus. As soon as someone asks who you are, you will reply that you are a Hindu. After this, which community do you belong to? Brahmin or Kshatriya?" This is where the matter begins. When you say that you are a Hindu, they will ask which Hindu. Will anyone believe you? If you have gone to get your sister married and ask which community you belong to, he will say that you are a Hindu. Will you be able to marry? You will not be able to. We have the idea of Varnashram. Mota in that confusing ass quote, the Shankaracharya wants to continue imposing caste hierarchies in India and does not want reform. He is the one who has taken up the mantle and wants to define who a real Hindu is. More like who a real Brahmin should be. Simply put, this constitutional reform talk which is happening in the background is setting the stage for a bigger, long-term Hindutva project. And that sort of talk takes us into political territory. I'm guessing you must have seen the pattern here as well. Whenever you listen to them, all of their preachings have a political undertone. Specifically a pro-BJP stance at this point of time. All of these Babas aren't just religious figures, they are political tools. They are influencers in saffron robes, shaping public opinion, creating a captive audience that can be converted into a vote bank. They don't just preach, they do political conditioning. They don't just gather followers, they funnel them into the Hindutva machine. They don't just talk about faith, they act as authority figures and tell their followers who the enemy is. These godmen are perfect for authoritarian politics because they train people to follow without questioning. And guess what? That is exactly how Shri Sir Supreme Leader, Adarniya Supreme Leader, Narendra Modi ji, the first of his name's followers, also behave. Number 1, they exhibit blind devotion. Number 2, they don't tolerate criticism. Number 3, they do absolute hero worship or bhakti. You see, this category of Babas have a symbiotic relationship with the BJP. Think about it. Whenever you question these Babas, what happens? You are branded anti-Hindu. Now what happens when you question Modi ji? You are branded anti-national. Kinda same to same, isn't it? What happens when you combine Hindutva with nationalism? A Hindu Rashtra. And that's the entire point. These Babas exist not just to control religion, but to lead their followers into the loving arms of BJP and the Hindutva brigade so that they can be weaponized as a political army. So when election time comes, these Babas issue their subtle, sometimes not so subtle endorsements.
रेप केस में दोषी करार दे दिया गया है बाबा राम रहीम को और 28 तारीख को जो है सजा का ऐलान होगा। पंचकुला कोर्ट के बाद अप्रत्याशित हिंसा, बावजूद इसके कि सरकार को आभास था, हम सबको आभास था। अब तक देखिए 18 लोगों की मौत हो गई है। जिम्मेदार कौन है? 200 लोग घायल हो गए, जबरदस्त प्रॉपर्टी का नुकसान। किसकी जवाबदेही तय की जाएगी?
And just like that, millions of spiritually devout people become politically useful voters. Their version of spirituality has nothing to do with actual spirituality. It has everything to do with creating a mindless mob of followers who will do as they say without question. Alright, enough of this. Now let's move on to the next category of Babas. You know, the ones that figured out that faith and religion isn't just to be used to create a political mob as of voters. It can become an entire business model. Say hello to what happens when a Baba realizes that faith isn't just a way to influence people, it is also a way to sell toothpaste and ghee and atta and instant noodles. It is also a way to sell feet pics and merch and expensive Mahashivratri event tickets. It is also a way to sell meditation courses and books. It is also a way to sell concert tickets. Oh yeah, and it is also a way to buy a private island and turn it into an entire pretend country for your cult.
People who stay in Mahakailasa, they have rooms. But I don't have a room. I stay in the hall where I just sit seeing the ocean and the snow-covered hill. Now you can go on Google. Oh, where is the snow-covered hill and the ocean together? That is where Mahakailasa is. Search.
This category of Babas don't just want followers, they want paying customers. They're not just godmen, they are business tycoons. They use the Baba starter pack first, then they gain the blind faith of their followers and then they monetize the shit out of it. If Pakhandi Babas are the startup phase, profiteering Babas are like the IPO. If Hindutva Babas manufacture voters, profiteering Babas manufacture customers for themselves. So, to understand profiteering Babas, you need to understand branding. Think about it. Why does Apple have such a giant following? It's because Apple doesn't just sell products, they sell a lifestyle. Apple's marketing makes you believe that owning an iPhone makes you smarter, more successful, and a part of an exclusive club. That's the power of a brand. It makes you feel a certain way about yourself. It makes you feel good. And now stand in the line and buy the latest slightly improved version of iPhone which costs like $1 bajillion. Thank you very much. Profiteering Babas? Kinda same to same. They are into branding. Here's how they do it. Step 1. Use the Baba starter pack. Pick up a basic understanding of religious texts and practices and symbolism. Step 2. Add your own style and personality to preach those same ideas. Just package them nicely for your target audience. Make it a little unique. Step 3. Make your followers feel like they are a part of an elite spiritual movement. Make them feel great about picking this particular brand of Baba. Step 4. Create a marketplace and a hunger for consumption. Step 5. Late stage capitalism, which is sell them stuff and profit. Profiteering Babas create a market within their cult followers. The bigger their followers, the bigger their marketplace. And they want to keep selling them stuff, from toothpaste to transcendence. So for this category, let's start with toothpaste. Say hello to Baba Ramdev, the FMCG godman. Baba Ramdev started as a yoga guru. He used to hold massive stadium full yoga sessions which was attended by lakhs of people. Then he leveraged his brand to start a company named Patanjali. And now it's a multi-billion-dollar FMCG company. Ramdev successfully merged Hindu sentiments, Ayurveda, nationalism and capitalism to create his own brand. He presents Patanjali as a Swadeshi alternative to Western products, and he ties consumerism with cultural pride, Indian pride. And a lot of times he goes overboard with the whole thing by issuing misleading advertisements. Most recently, the Supreme Court pulled up Ramdev for issuing misleading advertisements, and he had to apologize for it. Ramdev, in a lot of ways, is a template for profiteering Babas. He is one of the pioneers of brand building in this Babaverse, and he's really good at it. But while Ramdev is focused on selling physical products, there is one Baba who took a slightly different approach. This dude was like,
I don't need lakhs of followers to be successful. I will just find those few rich elite ones, the rich ones, and then I will ask them to fund my operation.
Say hello to Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. He started the Art of Living Foundation in 1981. It is supposed to be a volunteer-based humanitarian NGO, but when you peel back the layers, you will see that it's a multi-billion-dollar business with centers in 180 countries. According to reports, it has assets worth more than $120 million.
Every time you make a sankalpa, then the Pandit say, Abhupasparsha. At the end of the sankalpa, it says, oh, I got into small things. Now I am washing my hands off. Every sankalpa you do, drop it and you wash your hands and say, I'm free from it.
Sri Sri Ravi Shankar himself is a mild-mannered and friendly guy who preaches peace and prosperity to the world. He sells meditation and yoga courses to his followers around the world and does expensive retreats at his centers. Essentially, he's like an elite travel agent who is selling experiences to people in lovely places around the world. Sounds great, no harm done there. I mean, if you want to give money to a dude who was not comfortable with just one Shri and decided to add another Shri and then said Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, be my guest. I'm nobody to judge. Having said that, in 2016, Sri Sri got into a controversy when he decided to host the World Cultural Festival on the Yamuna floodplains in Delhi. The entire floodplain between the river and Delhi-Noida Direct Highway, DND, was flattened. Natural vegetation was completely uprooted and trees were cut down indiscriminately. The National Green Tribunal imposed a penalty of 5 crore rupees on Art of Living Foundation for this wanton destruction of, well, everything. And guess what? They refused to pay because they said that
as a charitable organization, we need time to raise money. Oh my God, we are so poor.
And as you can tell, this is a garbage reason because Sri Sri and his foundation is rich as hell. Yeah. According to this Caravan article, during that time, they had more than 200 crore worth of assets and their annual revenue was 80 crore. So behind all this spirituality nonsense, you can see that Sri Sri is also just a profiteering Baba who wants to make the big bucks using his brand. Which brings us to Baba number 3 in this category. This guy.
You know, in my personal experience, consuming venom has done miracles to me in terms of rejuvenating my body and doing things with myself in so many different ways.
Yes, this guy who is telling you to consume venom, Sadhguru. In the Babaverse, Sadhguru would be someone who understands marketing to a T. He presents himself as a modern day philosopher. He gives a lot of random wisdom and from different dimensions, I guess. And he also knows how to look the part. He uses the Baba starter pack but with layers on top and a motorcycle. So what product is he selling? Sadhguru runs the Isha Foundation, which is a multi-crore enterprise. This foundation has an extensive merch store. You can go there to buy consecrated silver Devi panel in turmeric, which costs just 3,20,000 rupees. Or you can buy a Dhyanalinga Yantra for 13,44,000 rupees. Or you can buy Sadhguru feet picks for just 3,200 rupees. Guy came up with OnlyFans before OnlyFans was a thing. Just saying. But products is not the only thing that this businessman sells. He also sells books, he also sells courses, and he sells tickets. You can pay 50,000 rupees to see Sadhguru dance in your face. It is basically like a concert that he organizes every year on the occasion of Mahashivratri. Sadhguru has been caught in a lot of controversies over the years, by the way. The latest one being the most horrendous of them all. YouTuber Sham Meera Singh recently did a video that alleges that underage girls have been sexually harassed in his ashrams over the years. I'll leave a link to this video below if you want to see it. I don't need to go into too much detail about this Sadhguru fellow and his shenanigans. There are like a billion videos on YouTube doing just that, like roasting him, calling him out, debunking him, all sorts of things. Even I made one 3 years ago when I was with News Laundry. Yeah, and the funny thing is I opened this video when I was working on the current video and saw that his followers are still cursing me for doing this. I'll leave a link to this video also below. Enjoy. And it is very likely that they will do the same under this video as well. Listen, now that I think of it, all these crazy Baba followers can have like a small meetup in the comment section below. All the followers of different Babas coming and cursing me and then saying,
"Hey, तेरे को भी ये पसंद नहीं है, मेरे को भी पसंद नहीं है. चलो मिलते हैं. Let's go party."
Yeah, that's just wonderful. Okay, let me keep Sadhguru aside for a bit and tell you about the craziest and most evolved version of a profiteering Baba. Say hello to Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and President of the United States of Kailasa, Bhagwan Shri Nithyananda Param Shivam. In 2023, this photo went viral. It shows a lady in a hair turban sitting in what appears to be a United Nations event. She was representing the United States of Kailasa, a micronation founded by this Indian Baba Nityanand. That's not a real nation, by the way, and that's not a real United Nations gathering either. It was just like an open event that these people showed up in, took photographs, and they were like,
"Hey, we are at the United Nations."
Yeah, no, you aren't. Nityanand became a thing in 2010s when he started roaming around India claiming that he has paranormal abilities. Yeah, here are some of his wonderful claims. He can make cows speak in Tamil and Sanskrit. He claims that the universe follows him around. He says that E is equal to mc square. The equation can be used to calculate non-vegetarian brains. He also wanted to start a trust with this bizarre concept, which is if a billionaire is going to die, they can put all of their wealth into the trust, and then when they are reborn, because Hindu traditions, this guy will find them and then give them the wealth for a small fee. Of course, a share of their wealth. Oh, what else? Oh yeah, he can cure blindness, make people see through walls, increase height, enable remote viewing, and do 60 other things, which are powers that are obtained by opening the third eye. Clearly, Solid crazy fellow, this one. But in India, it seems like if you use the Baba starter pack, you can gain a following and then expand it to make your own business empire. Nityanand started a few ashrams and gained a following, and then did what most godmen in India tend to do. Started exploiting his followers for money and sex. He has been accused of sexual assault and fraud in multiple countries. In 2019, he failed to show up for multiple court hearings, and the Gujarat police informed the world that Nityanand had fled India. He then appeared in an unknown island near Ecuador and declared that this would be his own nation of Kailasa. Did he buy this land for himself, or is this some sort of elaborate con game, or he's just running like a Haryana style racket where he's just like planted a flag that is like,
This is mine now. I will build a compound wall. This island is mine.
I have no idea. The guy is crazy. He can do anything. But what's insane is this guy still attracts followers that flock to him. According to the Times of India, he has a network of gurukuls and temples throughout the world, and his total net worth is estimated to be 10,000 crore rupees. He is said to be one of the richest Baba in the Indian Babaverse today. This, my dear nerd friends, is what happens when blind faith collides with late stage capitalism. Mota mota, the model here appears to be blind devotion to a Baba and then buying whatever they sell you. But people are just not buying products, they are buying access to a community and a sense of belonging. Also access to other crazy people who also believe the same crazy things. It's a community. These people are buying a brand and expressing their loyalty to it. When you think about it, in a country which has a shit ton of poor, desperate, lonely people, people who turn to faith and religion so that they can find some peace of mind away from all the chaos and shittiness in their lives. In an environment like this, becoming a profiteering Baba is actually a very viable business model. Oh, and add to that, we live in a society where critical thinking is just thrown out of the window all the time. You're not supposed to question authority. So these Babas are like,
yes, now buy my product. Don't question it. This is worth 13,40,000 rupees for some reason. It's a yantra. It will solve your problems. Don't question it. Just buy it.
Now you know, so go become a Baba today. Start your own business empire, FMCG company. Do whatever, sell sanduk, feed pigs. Okay, no, wait, don't do that, don't. Alright, enough of money making Babas. Now I want to take you to the next category in this Babaverse. These are the godmen who have taken the advantage of this wonderful thing called the internet and figured out the content game. Say hello to
व्याकुल है मेरा मन जो तड़से तेरे चढ़नामृत को राधे राधे आज होगा महाराज और नाचेगा सारा संसार जय बिहारी जी की बधाई हो सीताराम 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 कहिए राधा राधा
This child's name is Abhinav Arora, and his only aim in life is to go viral by doing random shit in the vertical video format. There is enough roast content about him on YouTube. I've also made a video on this myself. You can find the link in the description. What is interesting about this category of Babas, the viral Babas, is that people like Abhinav Arora are playing the exact same game that the other Babas are also playing. But they're doing it with the full awareness of the all-powerful social media algorithm. Ram, Hanuman, Shiv, Mata Rani, all are all good old school gods which people can worship. Normie people can worship them. Viral Babas worship a new age god. They worship a new age modern god. It's called the algorithm. In the Babaverse, Pakhandi Babas are the door-to-door salesmen pushing their message. Profiteering Babas are the boardroom CEOs which are monetizing this whole movement. And viral Babas are the marketing interns that are doing whatever it takes to get clicks. Click, click, click. They want to go viral, they want attention, and they want views. So they create a reality show of their own where they are the main character. Think about it this way. What is it that the social media algorithm really wants on any platform today? One, they want clicks. How many people are clicking on the content? How is the thumbnail? How is it looking? So that is where their appearance comes in. Two, average watch duration. How long are people watching your content? So they do outrageous shit to make people watch it for longer. 3. Shares and comments. How many people are sharing and commenting on your content? You know, guess what category is perfect for all of this? Religious content. It's highly emotional. People will fight over it or just go Radhe Radhe or Jai Shri Ram in the comments, which increases engagement. And you can literally make shit up and nobody will fact check you or call you out. Why? Because this content is based on belief, not logic. And once you get followers, they will go after the people who question you. You don't need to do jack. This kind of content is also easy to produce. No real research required. I mean, look at me. I spent 5 days researching and writing this script. I have spent countless hours before this looking at all these babas and whatever else for years. And it will take me 2 days to shoot this and a few more days to edit this. And do you think Abhinav Arora spends this much time to make his reels? No, he doesn't. He doesn't, because it's so easy to create content on religion today. They don't even have to work that hard to get an audience anymore. Because viral babas don't have to create a demand. The demand already exists. The marketplace has already been created over the years for centuries. They just need to figure out how to fulfill that demand with content that makes people feel something and react. So the algorithm shows it to more people, so that more people react, so that it's shown to more people, and so on and so on, and viral. You want to see how they do it? Here is a perfect example. This is Aniruddhacharya. You must have seen him or heard of him. The internet calls him Pookie Baba. This is his channel and I want to play this video. Just watch what happens.
यार तुम्हारे बाप ने तुम्हें कैसा पैदा किया? तुम्हारे बाप ने तुम्हें कैसे पैदा किया?
Did you see that? That's a cold open. The actual question and the dramatic response happens at the 12-minute mark, but they cut it out and put it in the beginning.
बाली का बेटा है.
बाली का बेटा तो बाली कैसे पैदा किया उसको?
अरे यार तुम्हारे बाप ने तुम्हें कैसा पैदा किया? तुम्हारे बाप ने तुम्हें कैसे पैदा किया?
अपनी माँ से.
वैसे ही हुआ. बाली की पत्नी से पैदा हुआ अंगद.
You know why? Because if the viewer stays on a video beyond the first 30 seconds, the YouTube algorithm promotes it more. So a cold open is used to keep the audience hooked onto the video. Why am I telling you all of this? Because this dude, Pookie Maharaj, is a content creator. He is using the same tricks and tactics that YouTubers like me use. His team that runs this channel is super aware about how to play up the algorithm. I mean, just look at the title of this video. इस मूर्ख व्यक्ति ने ले लिया महाराज जी से गलत पंगा. देखिए महाराज जी ने कैसे सिखाया सबक. Angry emoji. Here's another one. देखिए इस महिला ने भरी पंडाल में ऐसा क्या कहा कि हिल गया महाराज जी का दिमाग. Shocked emoji.
भारत के संस्कार बचाने के लिए गुरुकुल भी चलाए, गायों का वंश बचाएं, भारत संस्कृति बचाएं, गायों को लगते प्यारे.
Super clickbait right there. I'll say it again. Aniruddhacharya is a content creator who pretends to be a Baba because, well, India loves watching this, clearly. It generates millions of views. And our news channels also notice this. Here is Pookie Baba creating a viral moment on a news channel.
होनी चाहिए. हमारे बाप दादों ने तो यही सिखाया. जो मैंने सीखा है वो मैंने बताया कि कपड़े मर्यादित होने चाहिए.
पर लोगों को सूट सलवार और साड़ी मर्यादित कपड़े होते
हैं. नहीं, जिसमें ढका हो.
अनिरुद्धाचार्य जी सीरियल का हवाला दे रहे हैं. उन्होंने बबीता भाभी के बारे में भी बोला.
This video has 13 million views. 13 million. Guys, Okay, this is so depressing. Seriously, sometimes I feel like मैं क्या ही कर रहा हूँ इधर मतलब life में. I mean, I'm spending all of this time trying to tell you about the Babaverse, painfully categorizing various Babas according to their motivations and formats and how they look and what their business models are, just so that this world around you makes a little bit more sense. And then there is this.
आपने अच्छे कपड़े पहने
नहीं, महत्वपूर्ण सवाल है।
कोई औरत अगर चली जाए, मैं मर्यादा दूं, लेकिन आपको मेरा बैकग्राउंड नहीं पता। क्या पता मैं रात को पार्टी करती हूँ, क्या पता मैं शराब पीती हूँ, क्या पता मैं घूमती हूँ, घर ले जाती हूँ। हाँ, मैं पीती हूँ।
बहुत अच्छा।
तो मेरे कपड़ों से आप मेरे कैरेक्टर को जज नहीं कर सकते।
तो आपने शराबियों से बात करने बिठा दिया मेरे को आज।
नहीं। Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. हो गया friends. My brain is turning into mush at this point of time making this video. Seriously. I mean, isn't all of this frustrating? Think about it. I mean, look at this Babaverse in its entirety. There are starter kit Babas who are creating ruckus in TV studios. There is this IIT Baba who just randomly got discovered and now everyone follows him around. There is Baba Ramdev who has an entire FMCG empire and issues a bunch of misleading ads on news channels to sell products regularly. Then he appears on the news channels to sell his products regularly. There is Nithyanand who runs away and bought a private island. There is Sadhguru who sells feet pics and does shady things to young girls in his ashrams. There is this Baba Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh Ji Insan who used to hold concerts. Then he did some kand, he did some sexual assaults, and then now he's in jail. He keeps getting parole and he also caused a riot. Then there is this Pookie Baba who is teaching sabak to random people who are taking panga with him. These are the people who get money, fame and views in India today. We are a country of desperate, hopeless people who are looking for some redemption, some answers. We have a shitty life and we want it to stop. So we go around looking for ways to make it stop. And in that quest, we turn to these Babas and then get exploited out of our money, attention, sometimes our bodies, and get our brains hijacked also. There is nobody in this Babaverse who is not doing this. Well, there is actually. Say hello to... It's the final chapter. In Greek mythology, there is this story about a war that happened between the Greeks and Trojans. One day, a giant wooden horse appeared outside the gates of the city of Troy, the capital of Trojans. The Trojans thought it was a gift from the Greeks because they won the war. So they dragged this horse into their city. At night, Greek soldiers hidden inside the horse climbed out, opened the city gates, and destroyed Troy from within. That's a Trojan horse. The term Trojan horse means something that appears familiar and harmless at first, but then secretly it gets inside and disrupts the entire system from the inside. And that's exactly what Trojan Babas do in the Babaverse. In a world dominated by religious gatekeepers, profiteering Babas, and algorithmic manipulators, these Babas look like they belong, but then they get in there and disrupt everything. Some of them wear saffron attire, they quote scriptures, they sit on stages and give pravachans. They do the Baba starter pack things to gain followers, and then they evolve into Trojans. Instead of telling their followers to blindly follow them, Trojan Babas flip the script. Instead of selling you on fear and control, they challenge existing ideas. Instead of creating more sheeple, they tell you to think for yourself because you are people. And that makes them dangerous for the other people in the Babaverse. Take the example of this fellow, Premanand Maharaj. He looks like a Baba, talks like a Baba, but then he does this.
अभी पीछे वाले बैच में एक लड़का आया, उसने कहा हमारे मम्मी पापा हमारी शादी करते हो, लड़कियों से आकर्षण है नहीं, लड़कों से आकर्षण है। तो हम ऐसे भाईजनों से हाथ जोड़कर प्रार्थना करते हैं, इस तरह की अंदर वृत्ति भगवान ने दी है, वो कभी किसी लड़की के जीवन में धोखेबाजी न करें। आप अपने मम्मी पापा से अपनी बात पूरी शेयर कर दो। आप ब्याह बिल्कुल मत करो, उसको घर में बैठाल कर उसकी जिंदगी नर्क मत बनाओ। वो पहले शर्म लगती माता पिता से बोलने में, दूसरे की जिंदगी खराब करने में तुम्हें शर्म नहीं लगती? हमको भगवान ने जो वृत्ति दी है वो बताना कोई इज्जत की बात में धब्बा नहीं लगने वाला। और माता पिता से प्रार्थना है कि आप उस बच्चे को समझने की चेष्टा करें। उसके स्वभाव की रचना ऐसी माया के द्वारा हुई है, या डांट डपट के आप उसके स्वभाव को बदल सकते हो? नहीं, एक दूसरे को सपोर्ट करके चलो तो अच्छा रहेगा।
Yes, he supports the LGBTQ plus community. He even tries to redefine the meaning of Sanatan Dharm. Sanatan को क्या समझ?
एक आए थे परिकर पूरा सनातन का, जो सनातन के ठेकेदार थे, एक आए थे तो उनसे कहा था मन हम किसी की हिंसा कर दे तो सनातन ऐसा नहीं है। ऐसा
Some of the clips I've seen of these fellow seem to be reasonable. Again, I don't know what his whole viewpoint is about everything, but some of them which have gone viral seem to be progressive. Actually, you'll find this is a commonality in most Trojan Babas. They define their own form of dharma and interpret the text to mean something other than the popularly held beliefs. In the Babaverse that is largely dominated by men, there is one woman named Brahma Kumari Shivani who stands out as a Trojan Babi? Is she a Babi? God lady? Is there even a word for it? Mata? She's not my mom. Neither were they my fathers. Anyway, here she is talking about better content consumption on the internet.
ज्ञान का मैसेज किसी को फॉरवर्ड करते हैं, लोग कहते हैं हाँ पढ़ा बहुत लंबा था, बाद में पढ़ूंगा, टाइम नहीं मेरे पास अभी। और ऐसी वाली चटपट बात फॉरवर्ड करो, अच्छा और फिर थोड़े दिन के बाद मिलेंगे, फिर पूछेंगे और फिर क्या हुआ उस बात का, फिर और दूषित हो जाता है समाज, दूषित होता है। हम उस युग में रह रहे हैं जब इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत फास्ट पास ऑन हो रही है। हमें ध्यान रखना है हम कौन सी इंफॉर्मेशन ले रहे हैं, कौन सी दूसरों को भेज रहे हैं और कौन सी दूसरों से अपने पास आने दे रहे हैं। अगर हम सुनना, पढ़ना, देखना बंद कर देंगे, लोग हमें वो वाले मैसेजेस भेजना बंद कर देंगे। हम सुरक्षित हैं, वी आर सेफ, अपना ध्यान रखना है।
I haven't exactly done a deep dive on her, but from whatever videos I have seen, she seems to be consistently talking about maintaining good mental health and leading a peaceful life and also redefining what dharma is from time to time. So I thought she should get a special mention here. If there are any followers of Brahma Kumari Shivani here who are watching this, please leave comments below and tell us more about her. Now, let me tell you about the biggest Trojan of them all, and this is someone who I've been listening to and following for close to 6 months now. He's probably maybe one of the main reasons why I'm even bothering to make this video at all. And that person is Acharya Prashant. Now, I know people will kind of find it offensive that he's getting tagged in with the other Babas. But I would argue that one of his primary motivations is to steal the audiences of other Babas and bring them back to their senses. And for that, he uses the Bhagavad Gita and other religious texts to speak the language of the Baba, but subverts the very idea of a Baba, which makes Acharya Prashant a Trojan Baba. He has a YouTube channel with 55 million subscribers and he puts out a video almost every day. There is this one video that really stuck with me and it forms the entire premise of this video. The difference between Dharma and Lok Dharma.
धर्म लंबा जीने का नाम नहीं है, धर्म अपनी आबादी और तादाद बढ़ाने का नाम नहीं होता। धर्म सही जीवन में अपनी आहुति दे देने का नाम होता है, लेकिन अध्यात्म सर्वाइवल का नाम नहीं है। अध्यात्म गरिमा का नाम है। सर्वाइव करना और ठसक के साथ जीना दो अलग बातें होती हैं। लोक धर्म कहता है जो चल रहा है, दैट विच हैज सर्वाइव्ड इज ग्रेट, जस्ट बिकॉज इट हैज सर्वाइव्ड। तो सर्वाइव तो जानवरों की भी इतनी प्रजातियां कर गई, मनुष्य तो बहुत नया है। तो मात्र शारीरिक तौर पर बचे रहना कौन सी बड़ी बात हो गई? या हो गई, पर लोक धर्म के लिए यही सबसे बड़ी बात होती है, क्योंकि वो जो सबसे आदिम प्राकृतिक वृत्ति होती है उससे संचालित होता है। आदिम प्राकृतिक वृत्ति क्या है? शरीर को बचाओ, अपनी तादाद बढ़ाओ। लोक धर्म के लिए जो तथाकथित अनीश्वरवादी है वो भी उतना बड़ा खतरा नहीं होता। लोक धर्म के लिए बड़े से बड़ा खतरा होता है वास्तविक धर्म। अब आपको समझ में आएगा कि मुझ पे सबसे ज्यादा आघात नास्तिकों द्वारा नहीं, तथाकथित धार्मिकों द्वारा क्यों किए जाते हैं। क्योंकि नास्तिक उनके लिए खतरा है ही नहीं। लोक धर्म के लिए नास्तिक कोई खतरा नहीं है, लोक धर्म के लिए खतरा है असली धर्म।
Acharya Prashant says that most people who claim to follow dharma or religion actually don't even realize what dharma actually is. He defines dharma as the eternal, unchanging principles of truth, self-realization, and inner peace. It's about knowledge and understanding reality and constantly questioning that reality. He says that most people don't follow dharma, they follow a perverted form called lok dharma. It's a socially constructed version of religion. It has rules, rituals and hierarchies imposed by societies dating back 1,000 years, or so they claim. Lok dharma at the end of the day is about obedience, fear and maintaining power structures. It is about maintaining the Brahminical order. And it is also about maintaining and pleasing your own ego while you are doing all that. This, I thought, is actually a really useful way to look at this whole Baba verse phenomenon. The first three categories of Babas preach Lok Dharma. They use fear, superstition and obedience to control people. But Trojan Babas are special. They lay a trap, then they hook people in with the trappings of the Lok Dharma, and then they gently guide them towards actual dharma. Mota Trojans largely preach three basic things in my understanding. One, they tell people to seek the truth and not just blindly follow the rules. Two, they tell people to question authority and not blindly obey. Three, they tell people to be self-aware and think for themselves. And you know what the funny thing is? I did a video recently where I said certain things about Acharya Prashant, and then the followers that came in were not exactly trolly. They were kind of upset about what I said about Prashant, but they were very nice about it, and they were like writing long paragraphs explaining why I am wrong. I'm okay with that. I'm actually fine with those kind of followers. At least you have a logical point to make. So thank you, Acharya Prashant, for creating these followers. You see, Acharya Prashant and a few others like him are disruptors in this Babaverse. They're trying to cleanse this toxic space and make it better. That guy, IIT Baba, who was getting screamed at earlier in the first video, yeah, from whatever videos I have seen of him, I feel like he's going towards becoming a Trojan Baba as well. He has some strange views, but overall, he seems to be an okay fellow. I mean, we'll see. Kahan jate hai, sir? There is one common factor between all these Trojan Babas. They are all seekers. They are on a quest to explore spirituality, religion, tradition, culture, and they have no clue where they will end up, but they just like the journey they are taking. They ask deep questions about purpose, meaning of life, and existence itself. And once they learn something, they give pravachans about it. Then they go back to seek answers, and then they come back and then give answers to people or try to make them understand what they have found. To be perfectly honest, they are like philosophers in their own way, and I don't see a problem with that. Okay, so as I end this video, let me ask a question which you might be asking at this point as well. Why did I make this video? What was the point of this whole thing? Let me spell it out for you. Dear viewer, you must be someone who is lost, or who is looking for answers, who is curious to find out who you are, or you are just looking for some spiritual guidance at this point of time in your life. The thing is, I cannot stop you from going to any of these babas to look for these answers, but if you had to make a choice, then I wanted to give you a framework so that you can use this to categorize these godmen and understand their real motivations. And my hope is that you will choose the right one who actually helps you find the answers. Or maybe just you want to attend a concert. That's also fine. But I hope it helps you look beyond their appearance, their brands, their business models, their political agenda, and their content strategy. You know what? Instead of following any of these babas, you can do another thing, which is a better thing. Why don't you just go and read the religious texts yourself? Go read various interpretations of it. Read what different people through the ages have said, how they have interpreted it. Thinkers, godmen, philosophers that India has produced over the years. Understand their worldview and figure it out yourself. I know you are smart. You can do it. Or I have an even better option. If you feel lost and are looking for meaning, then go to therapy. Yeah, that would help. Because at the end of the day, real spirituality isn't about following a baba. It's about finding clarity for yourself. And no baba in this Babaverse can actually do that for you.